Alright, so I'm going to be showing off variables in OnShape, and so basically what they are is a number, a length, or an angle, or really anything that you can edit after the fact and then use in your designs in order to control specific lengths, or in this case I'm going to show angles. And so in this design here I've got 6 variables here, and I've got one for the bend thickness, which I'll show here real fast. So I've got this here. I can edit this, and what it'll do is it just increases this thickness here. So where before it was 0.05 of an inch thick, which is just this length here, I can change it to be 0.15, or assuming it works, which sometimes it doesn't given variables, half an inch, which, you know, obviously you wouldn't do that unless for some reason you were making this out of rubber or something. And then next, if I just activate section view here real fast, I've got a variable for showing off the entrance, which is basically the distance from here to here in my design. So I can make that, instead of being 0.1 of an inch, I can make it an inch, and now that'll go longer. And then on top of that, well, after that, I've got tolerance, which is the space between here and here. So like if your printer can't print such a small gap, which really, I mean, mine can't. It's broken at the moment, actually. But see, I actually don't know if this one's working correctly, but if I set it to 0.15, that'll increase the distance between there and there to be 0.15, where if I did 0.05, it'll shrink it down to a 20th of an inch. And so I'll just put that back to 0.15 because that's usually what my printer pulls. And then I've got the next variable here, length, which basically controls the length from here to here. And so if I just edit that, I could set it to be 20 inches if I wanted to hold like 20 tablets, or 2 inches if I wanted it to be really, really small for some reason. And then I've got a variable for the hook radius, which is basically the radius of this circle here, I think, or it's this circle, it's one of the two. And so I could set that to be 10 inches, and assuming it just works, which it appears to not have, it would have just scaled up that circle a little bit, and yeah, and so I made it also keep the same angle, which is defined by this variable. So see, I could set it to be 90 degrees instead, and now the angle from here to here is 90 instead of 120, which it was before. Alright, and so basically I just used a ton of constraints in order to get this all to work, and it's magic. Now I'm going to show how to actually use it, or how to make variables. Okay, so once you've got a document open, you can just create a sketch using like Shift S, or hit the button up in the corner. Then you can get a center point rectangle or anything else, like just anything you can dimension, and then you hit D, and then where you would normally type in a number, you put a pound sign, and then you can click the new variable box, and it'll bring this up here, and you can select a feature or a configuration or something. Configurations are a different version of variables where you can edit them to create different versions of your design. They're a little bit more advanced, and I haven't tooled around with them yet, so I have no idea how they work. So in this case, because I'm doing a length here, I'm going to put length 1. You cannot include spaces, so I just use underscores. So I'm going to do 4 inches here, right? And then you just hit enter, it'll go through, and now it's complaining about not knowing how long this is. But I'm also going to set this, you just hit pound sign again, and then it'll pop up. You can just hit like whatever your variable is again, and then you can do something like that. And now I could extrude it, and here's the real usage for variables, or at least how I use it in a few of the cases. You can just, anywhere you would put in anywhere you would put in a number or an angle or anything, you can just put in the variable name there, and it'll simplify it too. So it'll just change length 1 to be, in this case, 4 inches, right? And so then once I've done that, I just hit the button, and you can click this little X right here above my head to open the variable table, and then that'll just, like, it brings up basically a spreadsheet where you can edit what these are. So say if I wanted a 5-inch cube, now I've got that there, and then if I wanted 50 inches, wow, it's massive. What if I wanted half an inch? Wow, just amazing. Something to note here real fast, if you're making a variable, right, when you go to make one, you have to be kind of like assured about the type, right? So if I wanted to do something like length 1 plus 1, that's not going to work, because what it's doing is on the back end, this is 1 inch, and here I'm adding just a number 1, and since those are incompatible units, obviously no units and inches aren't the same unit, you have to specify that it's 1 inch, and then it works, and then I have 1.5 inches here, right? See? So that about wraps it up. Thanks for watching. Bye.